assembled here, and they gave me this opportunity to present this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam for my own purification. So we'll be reading today from 4th canto, chapter number 6, and verse number 6 and 7. We will cover because there is no purport in verse number 6. So we'll cover 4, 6 and 7 together. So we'll recite the shloka number 6 first, and then we'll come to the shloka number 7. Ashasana jivit madharasya lokasya palakupitena yasmin tamashu devam priyaya vihinam shamapayadvayam hridhi viddham durukte. Ashasana jivata madhyarasya loka sapalakupitena yasmin tamasu devam priyaya vihinam shamapayadvayam hridhi vidhvam durukte. Ashasana jivit madhyarasya loka sapalakupitena yasmin tamasu devam priyaya vihinam shamapayadvayam hridhi viddham durukte. We'll recite the verse number 7 also, and then we'll together read the word meaning and translation and purport. Shlok number 7. Naham na yagyo na chayuyamanne ye deha bhajo manuyascha tattvam vidduh pramanam balavirya yorva yashyatman antasya ka upayam vidhistaseta. Naham na yagyo na cha yuyamanne ye deha bhajo manuyascha tattvam viduh pramanam balavirya yorva yasya atmatantasya ka upaya vidhistate. Naham na yagyo na cha yuyamanne ye deha bhajo manuyasva tattvam vidu pramanam balavirya yorva yashatmatantasya ka upayam vidhistaseta. Anybody would like to recite the shloka? Hare Krishna. Any
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Shall we recite, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
So, verse number 6. Asasana jivitam advarasya loka sapala kupitena yasmin tam ashu devam priyaya vihinam shamapayadvam hridhi viddham duruktai. Verse number 7. Naham na yajno na chayuyam anye ye deha bhajo munayascha tattvam vidu pramanam balavirya yorva yashyatmatantrasya ka upayam viditset. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Any Mataji would like to recite the verse with us?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Anybody ready? Please proceed. Hare Krishna.
You can chant. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Hare Krishna. Ashasana jivitamatvarasya lokat sabala kuvena yasmin tamashu devam priyaya vihinam shamapayatvam hridivittam durukte. 7. Naham na yajno na chayuyamanye ye deha bhajo munayascha tattvam viduh pramanam balaviryayorva yasyatmatandrasya ka upayam vidilse. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Any
Hare
other?
Hare
Yes,
Krishna.
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Tasana Jividam Adhvarasya Loka Sapala Palaha Kupitena Yasmin Tam Ashu Devam Priyaya Vihinam Shamabayadvam Hridi Vidyam Duruktai. Hare Krishna. 7. Just a minute, Prabhuji, let me take
Yes, Prabhuji.
verse number 7.
Yes.
Naham ya yajno nacha yuyam anye ye deha bhajo munayascha tattvam vidu pramanam bala viryayorva yasmatma tandrasya ka upayam vidhish vidhi vidhi vidhi. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Mataji, please.
Ashasana jividam advarasya loka sapala kupitena yasmin tam ashu devam priyaya vihinam shemapayadvam hridi vidham.
7.
Naham na yajno na chayuyam anye deha bhajo munayascha tattvam vidu pramanam balavi viryayor va yasyatma tandrasya ka ubayam viditset.
Thank you, Mataji. Any other devotee like to chant the?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji, please.
Ashasana Jivitam Advarasya Lokasapala Kupite na Yasmin Tam Ashu Devam Priyaya Vihinam Samapayadvam Virdi Vittam Duraktai Naham na yajno na cha yoyam anye ye deha bhajo munayachatatvam vidu pramanam bala viryayorva yasyatma tantrasya upayam viditset. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So we'll be reading the word meaning from first the shloka 6 and then translation, and then we'll cover the verse number 7. Ashasana, wishing to ask, Jivittam, for the duration, Adhavarasya, of the sacrifice, Lokaha, all the planets, Safala, with their controllers, Kupite, when angry, Na, not, Yasmin, whom, Tam, that, Ashu, at once, Devam, Lord Shiva, Priyaya, of his dear wife, Vihinam, having been deprived, Shama Payadvayam, beg his pardon, Hridi, in his heart, with him, very much afflicted, Durukte, by unkind words. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation. Lord Brahma also advised them that Lord Shiva is so powerful that by his anger, all the planets and their chief controllers can be destroyed immediately. Also, he said that Lord Shiva was specially sorry because he had recently lost his dear wife and was also very much affiliated by the unkind words of Daksha. Under the circumstances, Lord Brahma suggested it would behove them to go at once and beg his pardon. Verse number 7. Can we open Mataji? We'll read the word meaning from this 7 also. Na, not, aham, I, na, nor, yagyo, Indra, na, nor, cha, and yuyam, all of you, anye, others, ye, who, deha, deha bhajo, of those who bear material bodies, munaya, the sages, cha, and tattvam, the truth, vidhu, know, paramam, the extent, bala, virya, of the strength and power, va, or yasya, of Lord Shiva, atma tantrasya, of Lord Shiva, who is self-dependent, kaha, what, upayam means vidhisthit, should wish to devise. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation: Lord Brahma said that no one, not even himself, Indra, all the members assembled in the sacrificial arena, or all the sages, would know how powerful Lord Shiva is. Under the circumstances, who would dare to commit an offense at his lotus feet? Purport: after Lord Brahma advised the demigods to go to Lord Shiva and beg his pardon, it was suggested how he should be satisfied and how the matter should be placed before him. Brahma also asserted that none of the conditioned souls, including himself and all the demigods, could know how to satisfy Lord Shiva. But he said, it is known that he is very easily satisfied. So let us try to satisfy him by falling at his lotus feet. Actually, the position of the subordinate is always to surrender to Supreme. That is the instruction of Bhagavad Gita. The Lord asks everyone to give up all kind of concocted occupations and simply surrender unto him. That will protect the conditioned souls from all sinful reactions. Similarly, in this case, Brahma also suggested that they go and surrender unto the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. For since he is very kind and easily satisfied, this action would prove effective. Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavancha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वांछा कल्पतरुभिष्टा कृपा सिंधुभ्येव च पतितनां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। कृष्ण कृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते जयपताका स्वामी की नाम। Hare Krishna. We welcome you all for our Saturday Bhagavad Gita, Saturday our Bhagavatam class, and we'll be reading from the 4th canto, chapter number 6 and the verse number 6 and 7. And the title of this chapter is Brahma Satisfied Lord Shiva. So before starting our discussion on these two verses, I would request that all the senior devotees, those are present here, kindly bless me so that for my own purification, I can apply this verse in my practical life and I can understand it in a better way so that I can progress in my spiritual life. Hare Krishna. So I request devotees to kindly mute yourself and then so that there will be no disturbance in the class. Some devotees have joined from India also, so I will speak in Hindi as well as in English, both, if Shivana Prabhuji will allow me for this. Hare Krishna.
Sure, Prabhu, please.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
So, before coming to the today's shloka, let we understand what we have studied. And there are three important points that we have learned from the shlok number 4, shlok number 5, and then we'll come to the today's two shlokas. So the demigods who had gone to Lord Brahma, and after hearing Lord Brahma advised them what is the remedy, how can be Lord Shiva pleased, and in these circumstances how to approach Lord Shiva. That was the what we discussed in what we understood in shloka number 4 and shloka number 5. So सारे देवगण जो हैं वो ब्रह्मा जी के पास जाते हैं और भगवान शिव के क्रोध को देख करके वो ब्रह्मा जी से पूछते हैं कि भगवान शिव को कैसे प्रसन्न किया जाए और उनके इस क्रोध को कैसे शांत किया जाए. तो ब्रह्मा जी उनसे देवताओं को सुनने के बाद में उनको बतलाते हैं. Then Lord Brahma says, if you are executing any kind of sacrifice, अगर हम किसी भी प्रकार का यज्ञ करते हैं, but during that sacrifice if we offense a great personality, और उस यज्ञ को करते समय यदि हम किसी भगवान के शुद्ध भक्त के प्रति अपराध करते हैं, we cannot get happiness, we cannot get peace, and that sacrifice will also not be fulfilled. और जो वो यज्ञ है वो ना ही तो कभी हमें सुखदाई हमारे लिए होगा, ना ही हमें शांति प्रदान करेगा और ना ही हमें उससे कोई शुभ फल प्राप्त होगा. तो अर्थ ये है कि जब हम कोई भी कार्य करते हैं, जब कोई भी हम सेवा करते हैं और उस सेवा को करने के समय पर हम भगवान के भक्तों के प्रति अपराध करते हैं, तो भगवान की कृपा जो है हमें प्राप्त नहीं होती है. So if we execute any service, if we do any work, we will not get the peace, will not get happiness, or will not get the good result out of it if we offend the great personality or the lotus feet of a Vaishnava. That is what we understood in shloka number 4. We may be doing great work. हम चाहे कितना भी सुंदर कार्य क्यों ना करें, चाहे हम कितना भी सुंदर सेवा क्यों ना करें भगवान के प्रति, परंतु if we offended a Vaishnava, यदि हमने किसी वैष्णव के प्रति अपराध किया है, then will not get the benefit out of it. So what is the first understanding that we learned from the verse number 4 that we are going to discuss now? चौथे श्लोक से हमने सबसे पहली शिक्षा क्या प्राप्त की है उसको हम समझते हैं और फिर उसके बाद हम आज के श्लोक पर आएंगे. Several kind of inauspiciousness can be removed when we perform any auspicious activities. अशुभ संकेत को हम दूर कर सकते हैं जब हम किसी भी शुभमय कार्य के संलग्न रहते हैं. And what we need for that? When we do any auspicious activities, all kind of sin can be vanquished. और अनेकों अनेक प्रकार के पाप जो हम करते हैं अनजाने में या जानबूझकर, उनको कम किया जा सकता है शुभ कार्यों के द्वारा। इसका अर्थ ये नहीं है कि हम अनेकों अनेक पाप करें और ये सोचे कि हम उन्हें शुभ कार्य करके दूर कर सकते हैं, बट ऐसा शास्त्र में बताया गया है। Several kind of inauspiciousness can be removed by performing auspicious activities. And what are those? Is prayashchita for our papa. We can do atonement. We can do the prayashchita. And several kind of sin can be countered, can be vanquished. And that is recommended for a human society to do yajna, dana and tapasya. And that also should be done in the mode of goodness. जब हम दान, यज्ञ, तपस्या करते हैं तो अनेकों प्रकार के जो पाप हैं उनसे हमें मुक्ति प्राप्त होती है। So that kind of cancellation of the sin that we have performed will not be there if we offend in a Vaishnava and we do that sacrifice. यदि हम किसी वैष्णव के प्रति अपराध करते हैं और भगवान के भक्त के प्रति अपराध करते हैं, तो चाहे हम दान करें, चाहे हम कितनी ही बड़ी तपस्या क्यों ना करें, चाहे हम कितने ही बड़े यज्ञ क्यों ना करें, उसका कोई लाभ हमें प्राप्त नहीं होता है। So we will not get out of the sinful reactions of our activity that we are performing while doing yajnas, austerities, or any kind of sacrifice if we are offending a Vaishnava. So this is the first understanding, that whenever we do any kind of work, whenever we get any kind of service, whenever we get any kind of seva, we have to be very, very careful that while executing the service, I should not do any kind of thing that may hurt a devotee. So that is what Daksha has did when Lord Shiva was there. So he could not recognize that Lord Shiva is not an ordinary person. He is the pure devotee of the Lord. He is a dear devotee of the Lord, and he committed offense against the lotus feet of Lord Shiva. और दक्ष प्रजापति ने जो है भगवान शिव के प्रति अपराध किया। So this entire material existence, ये जो भौतिक जीवन हम लोगों को मिला है, what is the purpose of this material existence? The purpose of this material existence is meant for Jiva to rectify his consciousness. ये जो भौतिक जगत में हम यहाँ पर आए हैं, उसका एक ही प्रमुख उद्देश्य है, और वो प्रमुख उद्देश्य क्या है? हमारी जो बद्ध जीव की जो दूषित चेतना है उसको शुद्ध करके और भगवान के भक्तों के प्रति बिना अपराध किए, निरअपराध किए अपनी भक्ति में आगे बढ़ना। So Lord Brahma says there is no other remedy. You have to go and you have to take the shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Shiva and you have to ask forgiveness. So the second understanding from 4th and 5th verse is the quality of forgiveness. As we know that in this material world, we think that we are independent. इस भौतिक जगत में हम सोचते हैं कि हम पूर्ण रूप से स्वतंत्र हैं, और उसी स्वतंत्रता का हम फायदा उठा करके अनेकों अनेक प्रकार के ऐसे कार्यों में अपने आप को ले जाते हैं जो इंद्रिय तृप्ति की तरफ हमें लेकर के जाते हैं. We involved into so many activities that takes us for the process of heavily sense gratification. And just to fulfill that sense gratification, we participate into so many kind of activities. And we think that if I will do this, I'll get a lot of prosperities in my life. That is what Daksha was doing. Daksha was planning to do. But Lord Shiva, when he committed offense against Lord Shiva, so whatever mistake we do, the Lord is so merciful that he has that quality of forgiveness. So the same quality is here in the Vaishnavas, Lord Shiva also. So what is the remedy for an offender if he offended a Vaishnava? So the remedy for an offender is to just go and take the shelter of the person against whom we committed offense. That is the only remedy is there. And the Vaishnavas are so merciful that they will forgive us. They will forgive us. So this is the second understanding we can see, that the nature of the Vaishnavas, the qualities of forgiveness. So we should also have to develop that quality within ourselves. We know that we all are not perfect. We all are part and parcel of Krishna, and we came in this material existence just to enjoy our senses. So whenever we commit any mistake against any other Vaishnava, immediately we should go and we should beg mercy, forgiveness at the lotus feet, and we should try by learning how can we avoid those kind of offenses. So the third understanding that we learn from this chapter, previous shlokas, is the attitude of a living entity. What should be the attitude of a living entity? The attitude of a living entity should be to rectify our consciousness. That should be our attitude. That should be our mood. हम इस भौतिक जगत में आए हैं तो हमारा उद्देश्य क्या होना चाहिए? हमारा मुख्य उद्देश्य ये होना चाहिए कि हम किस प्रकार से अपनी दूषित चेतना से बाहर निकल करके और आध्यात्मिक चेतना में स्थित होते हैं. How do we understand this? It means the jiva has to go from the independent consciousness to Krishna dependent consciousness. हमारी जो अपनी स्वतंत्र चेतना है उसको भूल करके और भगवान के प्रति निर्भर हो करके, पूर्ण रूप से समर्पित हो करके जो चेतना हमें विकसित करनी है, हमें उसको अपने जीवन में कैसे हम अपना सकते हैं, उसके लिए हमें प्रयत्न करना चाहिए. So the attitude of a living entity in this material world should be that he should go from the independent consciousness to the Krishna dependent consciousness. And when Jiva perform like that, then he realized that that is the ultimate goal of his life. We came in this material world and we forget the Ishvara rasa and we are enjoying here the independent rasa. But how long can we do that? How long can we enjoy that? There are also some limitations for that. A person can eat how many sweets? After eating 8, 9 sweets, he feels that his body is not allowing him and he is getting some discomfort. So in this material world also we can see, इस भौतिक जगत में हम देखते हैं कि हम पूर्ण रूप से स्वतंत्र नहीं रह सकते हैं. We cannot live independent in this material world. Like a child is dependent on his mother for all kind of activities. एक बच्चा जो है वो सदैव अपने माता पिता पर निर्भर रहता है अपनी इच्छाओं को पूरा करने के लिए. उसी प्रकार से हम बुद्धिजीव क्या सोचते हैं? What we living entity thinks when we are in this material world, that we have got some power of independence, and just because we have got some power of this independent, then we can buy the resources for our sense enjoyment. But we don't know that these resources are temporary in nature and how long one can enjoy them. at last we'll fed up and we'll give up everything. And then the jiva moves toward the surrender rasa. That should be the attitude of a jiva, or the attitude of a living entity. So these are the three understanding, or these are the three practical application we have learned from the shlok number 4th and 5th. And this is a long journey. Nothing will happen all of a sudden. We need to be patient, and we need to keep on doing the spiritual activity that we are performing under the guidance of a senior devotees and senior Vaishnavas. So these were the understanding that we have learned. Now we'll come for, as in the shloka number 6, there is no purport, but in the translation itself, it is written, and what it says, that Lord Brahma also advised them that Lord Shiva is so powerful that by his anger, all the planets and their chief controllers can be destroyed immediately. Also, he said that Lord Shiva was especially sorry because of his recently lost his dear wife, and was also much affected by the unkind words of Daksha. Under the circumstances, Lord Brahma suggested it would be behove them to go at once and beg his pardon. And in the shlok number 7, Lord Brahma says, this is a beautiful shloka and very important shloka for a devotee to understand and apply this verse in our practical life. How can we understand it in a better way, and how can we understand? After understanding, how can we apply it? Lord Brahma is saying here, not only himself, even Indra and all the members assembled there, the rishis and the munis and the demigods, they don't know about Lord Shiva. So how can we understand this? No one can understand how powerful Lord Shiva is and how to please him. These are the two topics on which we will be discussing now. Sometimes we see that one time Srila Prabhupada, one disciple asked Srila Prabhupada one question. Srila Prabhupada says, no one can understand Krishna. Then his disciple asked him, if no one can understand Krishna, then why you have written so many books? Because in each book you have written that the qualities of the God, qualities of the Lord Krishna, and you have written a lot of pastime about Lord Krishna, and now you are saying that no one can understand Krishna. Then what is the use of these books? तो एक बार एक प्रभुपाद जी के शिष्य प्रभुपाद जी से प्रश्न करते हैं कि प्रभुपाद जी कहते हैं कि भगवान को कोई नहीं जान सकता है, जैसे यहाँ पर ब्रह्मा जी कह रहे हैं कि वो सारे देवगण ऋषि मुनि भगवान शिव को नहीं जान सकते हैं, तो वैसे ही श्रील प्रभुपाद जी बताते हैं कि कोई भी भगवान कृष्ण को नहीं जान सकता है। तो उनका शिष्य जो है उनसे पूछते हैं कि अगर उनको नहीं जान सकते तो फिर आपने इतनी सारी पुस्तकों का प्रकाशन क्यों किया, इतनी सारी पुस्तकें क्यों लिखी हैं, क्या यूज है इन सारी पुस्तकों का? तब श्रील प्रभुपाद जी कहते हैं, then Srila Prabhupada says, even after reading all this book, you cannot understand Krishna until you will not surrender to Krishna. These all the books which I have written, the conclusion of these books are that without surrendering to Krishna, you cannot know about Krishna. So the surrender, how to surrender to Krishna, that I have mentioned in my all books. And then Prabhupada says, very nice thing here, surrender. Without surrendering to a spiritual master, without surrendering to a Guru Parampara, we cannot understand what is written in Srila Prabhupada books. If you want to understand, then we have to take the shelter of a pure devotee. So Brahmaji is saying here, Brahmaji is seeing that how Lord Shiva is looking outside. Daksha is seeing that only. Sometimes it happens that we cannot understand the other person who is standing in front of us. Maybe that person who is standing in front of us is a great exalted devotee, but because of his outlook, how he looks and what type of cloth he's wearing, we are thinking, oh, he's a very neophyte devotee, or he's like a very simple devotee, maybe he doesn't know anything. Or sometime it happened vice versa. We see the devotee or a person is wearing a very simple or some not a good or not a clean clothes and all, but he's a very exalted devotee. That is the what mistake Daksha has did here, and Brahmaji is explaining the same thing. That Daksha has seen the outlook of Lord Shiva. That look at him, he's so wearing these type of ornaments, and then he's so dirty, and he's putting that ashes on his body, and how he looks. But he doesn't know that Lord Shiva is a pure Vaishnava. So we also commit mistakes sometime like that. When we look at someone, just by looking someone, we cannot understand what kind of person that person is. So that is known as actual blindness. That is the actual blindness. Dhritarashtra in Bhagavad Gita, he says, Mamaka Pandavas Chaiva, my son and the son of Pandu Maharaj. He was blind by his vision and he was blind by his knowledge also. So Dhritarashtra जो है वो अज्ञान से भी अंधे थे और ज्ञान अपनी चक्षु यानी कि अपनी आंखों से भी अंधे थे. कभी कभी हमारे सामने जो व्यक्ति है हम उसको नहीं पहचान पाते हैं. हो सकता है कि उस व्यक्ति ने बहुत ही साधारण से कपड़े पहने हो, परंतु ज्ञान के स्तर पर वो हमसे बहुत ऊंचा हो. और कभी कभी ऐसा होता है कि कोई व्यक्ति ज्ञान के स्तर पर बहुत ऊंचा दिखाई देता है अपने व्यवहार से, अपने पहनावे से, परंतु जब उसको अंदर से हम समझते हैं तो बिल्कुल निचले स्तर पर होता है. हर कार्य जो है वो इंद्रिय तृप्ति के करता है. So just by seeing someone we cannot identify about that person, how that person is. Bhagavad Gita 7.27 verse beautifully explained. And what is that? The shloka says, Ichha dvesha samuthena dvanda mohena bharata sarva bhutani sammoham sarge yanti parantapa. And what is mentioned in this? Dehadhari. Dehadhari means we got this body, and just because we got this body, so our consciousness is also at the bodily level. So the Daksha's consciousness has been explained in this shloka. That what was the consciousness of a Daksha when he looked at Lord Shiva. So this is the understanding that we should also learn from this shloka, that when we look at a devotee, when we look at a Vaishnava, we should not think or we should not commit, we should not make any mistake unknowingly or knowingly towards him by our words, by our thoughts or by our activity. मनसा वाचा कर्मणा, तीनों में से किसी भी प्रकार से हमें उनके प्रति अपराध नहीं करना है, निरअपराध रह करके हमें उनका संग करना है. So sometimes we associate with such kind of person who looks good, but from inside he has no quality. And sometimes we left the association of that person who doesn't look good, but he has a divine qualities. So we have to be very, very careful what we are thinking in today's time. If the person who is pleasing me is my best friend, or the person who is not pleasing me is my enemy. हम लोग आज के संसार में क्या करते हैं कि भगवत गीता के 7वें अध्याय के 27वें श्लोक में भगवान क्या कहते हैं कि समस्त जीव जो है इच्छा और घृणा, यानी कि इच्छा और द्वेष घृणा के कारण द्वंद में है और द्वंद से मोहग्रस्त हो करके दूसरे व्यक्ति को देखते हैं. What is our vision in today's modern time, in this material world? Ichha and dvesha. Like we are envious towards others and we have hatedness towards them. We have an ego, and within this kind of war, we look someone else with that same vision. That is the defective vision we have. That is a defective vision actually. Why is the defective vision is there? This is the vision of Daksha has been explained in the shloka. That how Daksha, out of his enviousness towards Lord Shiva, out of his anger towards him, out of his hatredness towards him, how he deals the Vaishnava. And that is what we have to learn from the shloka. That how we should not adopt such kind of qualities when we approach any devotee or when we approach any Vaishnava, or when we see someone who has a divine qualities. Then it has been explained that this defective consciousness, why we have this defective consciousness? Because of our enviousness nature towards the other living entity. We don't see other living entity as an part and parcel of Krishna. We recognize the other living entity as a bodily concept. हम दूसरे व्यक्ति को एक शरीर के रूप में देखते हैं. अगर हम दूसरे व्यक्ति को भगवान के भक्त के रूप में, भगवान के पार्षद के रूप में या उनके अंश के रूप में यदि हम देखें, तो हमारे दिल में, हमारे हृदय में किसी के प्रति ईर्ष्या, द्वेष, ये द्वंद्व उत्पन्न नहीं होंगे, या इस प्रकार की जो भावना है हमारे हृदय में वो दूसरे के प्रति नहीं जागृत होगी. और जब ऐसा नहीं करेंगे हम, तो हम अपनी भक्ति में भक्तों का संग प्राप्त करके आगे बढ़ सकते हैं. So this defective vision is based on our experience of our defective consciousness or our defective vision. हम experience करते हैं सामने व्यक्ति को देख करके. We make our own interpretation based on our own experience while we see someone. That is a defective vision, and that is a gross experience actually. We all know. Gross level, we do this kind of judgment actually. Pratyaksha vision. Pratyaksha vision means what I see, that I believed it. It means I noticed that someone is not looking good, so I will judge him according to that. Or if someone is like wearing some high class clothes and all, so I will believe that person according to that. What I saw, I will believe it. That is known as Pratyaksha vision. These are 5 kind of experience we are going to share now. This gross experience that we do based on what we see is the animal consciousness. Actually, this is the animal consciousness. Because animals cannot understand what they are seeing, it, they are believing it on the same level. No. Then above than this experience, there is a Pratyaksha Anubhuti. And what is the Pratyaksha Anubhuti? What Daksha has did. How he looked at Lord Shiva, he believed in such a way. Pratyaksha Anubhuti. And how this Pratyaksha Anubhuti comes in us? Raga and Dvesha. Because of Raga and Dvesha. Then he's thinking, oh, he's my son-in-law, I'm his father-in-law. I came in the assembly, but he's just sitting. He should stand in front of me. These are the common etiquettes. When some guest is coming and he's elder than us, then we should stand up and we should respect him. But he didn't do that. That was the vision of Daksha, has been explained here. Out of his raga and dvesha towards Lord Shiva, he committed offense. So we have to be very careful dealing any Vaishnava. That is what has been explained in this verse actually. Sometimes we think that, oh, that person is not that much qualified and I am more qualified than that person because of our raga and dvesha and our ahankara, and we deal that person in that way. So When Lord descends in this material world, Bhagavad Gita, the shloka number 9.11, Avjananti mamudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavamajananto mambhuta maheshwaram. भगवान कहते हैं यहाँ पर, when I incarnated in this material world, just because the people have this consciousness at their bodily level, they cannot even recognize me. Then what is the question? How they will recognize a pure Vaishnava? तो हम अपने इस बद्ध शरीर में रह करके जब भगवान अवतरित होते हैं, हम भगवान को नहीं समझ पाते. हम कहते हैं कि भगवान ने एक वैश्य परिवार में जन्म लिया, भगवान को क्या जरूरत थी एक मनुष्य शरीर धारण करने की. Why Lord has incarnated in a Vaishya family? Why he took incarnation as a human? So why can't we understand this? Because of our bodily consciousness. Janma karma cha me divyam. The activities of the Lords are not like our activities. They are on the divine platform, they are on the spiritual platform, and our all activities are on the material platform. So above than that pratyaksha anubhuti, there is a paraksha anubhuti. And in this paraksha anubhuti, we experience it from seeing others. We learn from others and then we experience it. Just like if you want to go to America, you will hear from someone how America looks like and how the people lives there and how to approach, how to go there. That is known as Praksha Anubhuti. So above than this Praksha Anubhuti, there is a Aparaksha Anubhuti. And what is that Aparaksha Anubhuti? Based on our own experiences, we judge the other person. Nowadays, you see on the social networking site, there are many people, those are showing the motivational speech. How they are doing this motivational speech and they are becoming leaders and all. By their own realization. So, we should not behave like that. That what is my own mental concoctions, that what I am experiencing it and I am telling others the same thing. Then how can we come out of it and how can we go beyond this? Then above than this is adhaksha anubhuti, and that is there above the mind and senses. That is a Vaikuntha experience. Adhokshaja anubhuti. And above than this, there is a aprakritik anubhuti. That is on completely spiritual level. When we don't see our body, senses, and all other things. So, at this level, person thinks that I'm not this body, I'm the soul, and I'm the part and parcel of Krishna. So, ये 5 प्रकार के एक्सपीरियंस हैं. पहला एक्सपीरियंस होता है हमारे जो दृष्टि, यानी कि जो हमारा विजन है, किस प्रकार से हम सामने वाले व्यक्ति को देखते हैं. पहली चीज तो है कि हमने जैसा देखा, हमने उसको उसी रूप में स्वीकार कर लिया. दूसरा है हमने किसी से सीखा उसके बारे में और उसके बाद उस पर विश्वास किया. तीसरा है कि हमने अपने एक्सपीरियंस से उसे स्वीकार किया. और चौथा है जो हमारे मन और इंद्रियों के स्तर से ऊपर है. और इन सब से जो ऊपर है वो जब हम अपने आप को शरीर ही नहीं समझते और हम देखते हैं कि हमारा ये जो शरीर है वो शरीर नहीं है, हम आत्मा. इस स्तर पर जब हम सोचते हैं, so that should be the vision of a devotee, or that should be the vision of a common person when he sees someone else. So we have to recognize, we have to change our vision actually. If we will not change our vision, what will happen? We'll get bound in this material world again and again. And this cycle of death and birth will keep on going. So in today's time, if you see, people are where they are on the praksha anubhuti and pratyaksha anubhuti. They are not beyond than this. What others told them, they are believing it. They are hearing from someone and they are thinking that, oh, this experience is the best experience for me. Or what they see themselves, they believe that one. But we need to change this vision actually. And for that, what we need? Jnana Chakshu. And how we'll get this Jnana Chakshu? The Guru will give us the vision. Just we said that we cannot understand anything by our own intelligence. We need someone who will guide us, who will show us the right path. And based on that experiences, when we are learning under the guidance of a spiritual master, this defective vision will change, and the attitude of the living entity will change from independent consciousness to Krishna dependent consciousness. And Isha Upanishad, there is a beautiful word came, that is anupashyanti. Anupashyanti means the one who sees. But how to see that? Anu means follow and then experience it. First you follow and then you see that things. To whom we should follow? We have to follow the spiritual master. We have to follow our Guru. What he is telling us, we have to understand that thing first, and then we have to follow that path. Nothing will happen instantly, or it's not like a magic. We need to be patient. धैर्य. भक्ति का मार्ग एक ऐसा मार्ग है जिस पर अगर हमारे अंदर धैर्य नहीं है, हमारे अंदर विनम्रता नहीं है, तो हम अपनी भक्ति में आगे नहीं बढ़ पाएंगे. The definition of a bhakti is a sincerity. We need to be sincere in our path of bhakti. And how we'll learn this sincerity? When we'll follow the Guru's footprints. When we'll observe our spiritual masters, each and every activity. And then only we will learn how to deal with others, how to speak with others. So, in this verse, that is what has been mentioned here, that by seeing the external view of a person, we cannot identify that person, that how qualified that person is. That is what the mistake Daksha has did here. And Brahmaji is saying, not only me, not only Indra, not only the other demigods, no one can understand the nature of Lord Shiva just by seeing himself. So if we want to see or we want to understand the nature of Lord Shiva, then we have to follow our spiritual master. Then only we will understand the quality of such a Vaishnava. That how to please him. And how can you please a Vaishnava? How can we please our spiritual master? We can please our spiritual master by following his instructions. Many devotees, they feel that when they have a physical association of their spiritual master, they get the blessings, they feel fortunate, and they feel blessed. Yes, we get all these experiences. But the actual bliss, actual happiness, and actual peace we get when we follow his instructions. And when we follow the instruction of our Guru, each and every moment we have a darshan of our Guru actually with us. And these things we can learn only when we will follow our spiritual master, and our spiritual master will give us a Jnana Chakshu. Based on that Jnana Chakshu, we'll understand this philosophy or the science of Krishna consciousness. Jnana. Jnana means the knowledge. We can get the knowledge by reading the newspaper also. But this Krishna conscious is Vijnana. Vijnana of self-realization. Atma Sakshatkar. So if the person is not self-realized, if the person doesn't know his own identity and his relationship with the Lord, he doesn't know how to deal with others. But if a self-realized soul, he knows that, oh, that person is also part and parcel of Krishna. So I have to treat him in this way. So that is what Lord Brahma is saying here is that if you want to know about someone, you follow the spiritual master, follow his instruction, then only you will come to understand about the quality of that person. Otherwise, we cannot understand him. And if you want to please the Vaishnava, then if we commit any mistake towards him, if we do any kind of aparadha, then we have to ask forgiveness. The only shelter for an offender is the surrender at the lotus feet of the Vaishnava. And we have to learn these qualities by following the each and every instructions of our spiritual master. That is what has been mentioned in this verse number 7. And this is the only way a person can be freed from all kind of sinful activities. So that is what suggestion here Lord Brahma is giving to the demigods, that you go and you take the immediate shelter of Lord Shiva. He is so merciful and he will get pleased. Vinamrata. These are the beautiful quality of a Vaishnava. The Vaishnavas are so soft-hearted. If you go and approach them, and if we do any kind of mistake, they will forgive us. They're so merciful. But we need to change our attitude. We have to come out of dvesha, irsha, raga. We are bound in this dvanda, in this kind of war, and we are struggling with that. And if we have this attitude, we cannot progress in our spiritual life, not at all. How long, no matter we study this and that, books and all, but if we don't understand these qualities, which has been mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam in this today's verse and past 2 verses, then it is very difficult for all of us. So in short, what we understood today, the 3 important understandings we have learned, that several kind of inauspiciousness activities can be vanquished by performing the auspicious activities towards a Vaishnava, towards your guru, towards your deities and all. And second thing we learned, that quality of forgiveness, the attitude of a living entity to raise himself from the independent consciousness to Krishna dependent consciousness. Fourth thing that we have learned from today's shloka is raise our consciousness and follow the instruction of spiritual master and experience that bliss by following his instructions. And in this way, we can save ourselves for committing any offense or any aparadha towards other living entity. That is what we discussed in our today's class. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai. Hare Krishna. So if any devotee has any question or comments, so I would request you can please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Nanda Pranam. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for your detailed presentation on these verses and especially the lessons learned. The whole focus of Srimad Bhagavatam is to learn the lessons. That's why this Bhagavatam, all these leelas are there so that we understand the lessons and implement. And as Prabhuji rightly said, unless we don't implement these lessons, there is no use of reading or listening. And the whole thing focuses on our anarthas, the 6 anarthas which are present in our heart. So those things has to be eradicated. So that is very important. And Prabhuji has given a lot of lessons also, that we should not do any aparadha to any Vaishnavas while performing any sacrifices, then we don't get that merit. And we have to uplift our consciousness. And the way we have to, if at all there is an offense, then we have to go and get big forgiveness from the Vaishnava to whom we have committed the offense. So all those lessons are there, important lessons we need to follow. And just also I would like to add one more point. Together with this is we are also understanding that in this world always there will be problems.
Yes.
We cannot avoid. Neither Lord Shiva decided for this problem, nor Mother Sati, she also decided for this problem. But it all happens.
Yes.
Because this world, as Krishna says, is Dukkalayam, we are always should be prepared that anything can go wrong and we cannot avoid it. Even though we don't want it, it is going to happen. Like what we see in the Daksha incident.
Yes.
So that we have to pray to the Lord and be under his shelter. Like they say, when there is Kali Yuga, it's like a rain. But only thing we can take the umbrella is by chanting shelter of the Lord. But problems is definitely going to come in everyone's life. That cannot be avoided. But we have to take the shelter of the Lord and be very careful in our sadhana, not offend any Vaishnavas.
Yes.
And try to be sincere in our services. So that I think that way, definitely we can all be protected by the mercy of the Lord and the spiritual master. So thank you very much, Prabhu. And devotees have any questions or any comments, we can please unmute and ask Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So we have some chat messages. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for wonderful class. Hari Gaurang Das, such a nice lecture, Prabhuji. Thanks, Hare Krishna. So
आप में से जो इंडिया से क्लास अटेंड कर रहे किसी भक्त का कोई प्रश्न है हिंदी की क्लास में? So if there is no question, then
yes, if there are no other questions, so I'd like to thank Prabhu here